Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your girl Dash, and this is Weeknights, where we give you the latest, the greatest, and the shameless, mostly from the famous. And I'm here solo today. So, life happens, and sometimes you got to do a solo pod. So, that's what I'm here to do. I'm going to keep it real simple for y'all today, and I'm going to do two movie reviews because it is award season. The Oscars are coming. The Oscars are in about a month and a half. The date is finally, I feel like the date was solid, but I just saw an ad for it today. So the Oscars will be on March 15th, which means there's plenty of movies to discuss. I have been trying to work my way through all of the Oscar nominees for Best Picture. So I think it's time to review a couple of them. And when JD is back, we will get back to our normally scheduled programming. I did want to pull up the Best Picture nominees because why not? Let's go through them real quick. All right, so we went through this already, but I'm gonna go through this real quick. The Best Picture nominees are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. So we have actually already talked about two of these movies. We spoke about Sinners when it came out. We gave our opinions. We had some varying opinions, but we know that Sinners is nominated for a bunch of Oscars, so we'll see how that goes. We've also talked about Marty Supreme. JD had seen Marty Supreme, so he came on here and did a review. If you have not seen his Marty Supreme review, it's actually really funny. You should check it out. Go to our YouTube. It's there. You can watch that full episode, or the clip is already up there as well. I'm going to talk about F1 and One Battle After Another. And then maybe later on at some point we'll circle back to the other films. This is actually kind of good because you're getting reviews of all of these movies, or at least some of them. That's a decent chunk right there. I think that's half, if not almost half. So here we go. So let's talk about F1 first. It's fresh on my mind. It's the last one I watched. And it's starring Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Javier, I don't remember his last name. Javier Bardem, sorry, and Carrie Condon. So there's a bunch of other people in it, but these are kind of the main four people that we see throughout the film. It basically follows the story of Sonny. Sonny is living in his van. He doesn't really have anything going on. And here comes his old buddy, Ruben, saying that he's got a car he wants him to drive. He wants him to be a Formula One driver. This is something that he's always wanted. So he wants to bring him in. Now, mind you, it's been 20 years since Sonny drove one of these cars, like for real drove one of these cars. So, I mean, Ruben has to beg him, but honestly, I'm like, Sonny, what else you got going on? And at first he didn't want to do it. It becomes clear later in the film why he didn't want to do it, which he probably should have said. Definitely should have said. But in any event, he decides that he is going to participate. His counterpart on the team is Damson Idris's character, Joshua Pierce. Joshua is young. He's got an ego on him. He's excited. He's in love with the money and the fame and everything that comes with that. And he wants to be the best. He's trying to go for his own Formula One win. So there's a lot of tensions in the beginning between these two people because they're fighting for the number one spot, basically. They're fighting to be that person that brings it home, the person who wins it for everybody. When really this is a team effort. And the only way it's going to work is if everybody works on a team. Now that may seem like, I don't know, just not too exciting. I think the very interesting part of a film like this is the action. I really wish that I would have watched this in the theater because the sound of the cars on the track, just looking at something like that, watching them race on the big screen would have been so much more satisfying than watching it at home on Apple TV. but I watched it that way. I would argue that if you can see it in theaters and you have not seen it yet, or you just want to see it again, go to the theater while it's still available. I know the Oscar Best Picture movies usually have another run before the Oscars. So I would go do that. I think that that's the best way to watch that. As far as how I felt about the film, I'm not going to give everything away, but what I will say is it ends in the best possible way it could. The outcome is not unpredictable at all. They have twists and they have turns, they have obstacles that they've got to get over between characters and among individual characters themselves. That is absolutely true. Sunny breaks all the rules. Okay, so first conflict I have with the movie is that Sunny is breaking all the rules and he's trying to be a Formula One driver, and it doesn't really make sense. In real life, you wouldn't be able to break all these rules because people's lives are at risk when they do this. You wouldn't be able to break all of these rules, and then people just kind of move on with their lives and say, okay, see you at the next one. He doesn't really ever get any penalties or anything like that, and that just seems incredibly strange. It also is a reach that after 20 years he would just get on the track and that would be it, and now he's a Formula 1 driver. But fine, that's what the story is, so it's okay. I'm more frustrated with the idea that he just doesn't he doesn't follow any rules, and no one seems to enforce them either. I totally understand why Joshua was like, yo, what are you doing? You came to disrupt what I got going on here, and it's quite frankly not cool. Totally understood that. I also feel like with Damson Idris's character, it wasn't really developed that well. I honestly don't feel like any of the characters were developed that well. You see, there's like a love interest thing that's happening with Sunny, and I guess that's okay. But as far as like depth of these characters, we see kind of things, glimpses, I guess, of their lives. You see at the beginning how Sunny is living. You find out at some point in the movie they both lost their fathers at the same age. So they have some things in common, but you really don't ever get to the nitty gritty and the root of the character. You don't hear a whole lot about Joshua's backstory. You see his mom and you see his cousin, and even in those instances where he's interacting with them, there's certain things that are just not really developed. They kind of glaze over a lot of things. For example, his cousin at one point is like is basically in his head like, you're better than him, you're this, you're that, you're that. And then he goes back to work and he takes on everything his cousin told him, and then we just move on like nothing ever happened. That felt very much like somebody who was sabotaging the situation, but it never really, like, they never really gave it legs. And then by the end of the film, everybody's happy go lucky again. Also, with his mom, we see his mom she's very involved. She mentions his dad, she references his dad and what his dad might have said if he was still there. I just feel like there was so much that we could have found out about this character. I don't believe that you have to drag the movie on in order to give us more information. I just don't think that that's necessarily. Also, the movie's hella long, but all movies are hella long these days. I'm so tired of these movies that are over 2 hours. Can we get a 90-minute film? A good, solid 90-minute film. I would appreciate that. I don't get it. I don't understand why they have to be so long, but whatever. I like this film. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. And the reason why is because I didn't see it on the big screen. I think I would totally love it even more if I saw it on the big screen. But I do think that the character development was lacking. I do think that they could have done a better job at showing us the depth of the characters. I don't think that love interest was necessary. And in fact, Another spoiler, the kiss at the end, not necessary. It just, I get it. I get what y'all were trying to do, but there could have just been no love story and it would have been fine anyway. People love a good love story, so I'm assuming that's why they did that, but I don't know. It was okay, and that's where I'm at with it. I don't think that it was the best film I've ever seen. I also don't think that every film has to be the best film I've ever seen. I think this is a solid film because it makes you feel good. It has the action. It has the characters in there that are doing what they do to get from one end to the next. There's conflict, there's strife, there's triumph, there's all of that. I mean, it's, as far as movie formulas go, this follows one very well. And I think that's why it works. Outside of the character development, I think it's a great film. I don't know anything about Formula One, so if there are things that don't add up, that don't align, and won't make sense, other than the fact that Sonny breaks all the rules, I totally get that, and I get why someone would be frustrated with the film for that reason. I have heard that criticism, but I don't know anything about that. So for me, I was just in my own bliss, not knowing, and that was fine. I think it was a solid film. I think that Brad Pitt and Damson Idris did what they do, and there was a solid performance there. How it stacks up against other movies that I've seen, I really don't know. I don't really know where I would place it. I think after I'm done watching all of these movies, I will rank them and then do it like that. So at this point, I don't know where it lies for me, but I would watch it again. Like I said, I'd probably go to the theater and see it on the big screen because I think it would be great. Or if you have like a really big TV with surround sound and all of that, I don't have that big of a setup. So if you have a setup like that, you would really enjoy this. I think that's how you should be enjoying a film like this. But yeah, it was cool. It was good. It was solid. I think that's fine. Now, one battle after another. I don't know how to feel about this movie. After about 42 minutes, the first day, yes, I said day, the first day I tried to watch it, I turned it off. It was a lot. A lot happened in that amount of time. And when I paused it, I realized that I still had about 2 hours left. Not kidding. So for me, I said, no, I can't do another 2 hours of this right now. So I waited. I took a break for a couple days and I went back to it and then I watched the rest. Now, I know that we talked about the Golden Globes a couple weeks ago. Tiana Taylor won for Best Actress. And I said some things. I was very complimentary of her. I talked about her talent. I talked about her beauty. And I basically said, listen, I hadn't seen the film, so I couldn't judge the film. But what I could say is there was enough there for them to nominate her to begin with. And she was worthy of being nominated. She was worthy of being in a film of that magnitude. So I support her in her win. I don't have any objections to her winning. I don't think that, some of the things that people have been saying is that, she doesn't have the talent for it or she doesn't have the catalog for it. I don't feel that way. I just feel like she's a talented human who did a film that did really well, and that is what happens. And it will be fruitful for her to have a Golden Globe. And I think that's great. Now that I've watched the film, I'm going to stand by that because I truly do believe that, and I believed it when I said it. However, I can now speak on the film and her performance in the film and everybody else's as well. So let's just start with quick plot line, really quick. So it's basically a group of revolutionaries who are fighting the good fight against the regime, basically, through militant actions. Now, in doing so, they are also doing things that are illegal. The movie starts off with introducing them kind of going in and like taking over an encampment, an immigration encampment, and that's when you're introduced to basically the main players. You've got Regina Hall, you've got Leonardo DiCaprio, you've got Tiana Taylor, you've got a bunch of other people who you'll get glimpses of throughout the film. But it basically starts and you get to see the relationship between Leo's character and Tiana Taylor's character. They are love interests in this movie. I felt like they had chemistry. I gave them a plus for having chemistry. I felt like them on screen together worked. So I was impressed by that, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. And it makes sense too, because even watching them interact in real life on these red carpets and things that they've done recently, it makes sense. So cool. Then they introduce you to Sean Penn's character, Sergeant Lockjaw. And Tiana Taylor and Sean Penn, I'm sorry, Perfidia is her name in the movie. Perfidia and Sergeant Lockjaw have this weird, lewd, maybe lewd is not the right word, but crass interaction. It starts a series of events that would eventually shape the trajectory of the film. I'm trying to give y'all some things, but not all things, because I do think it's worth it to go out and watch these movies yourself. But here we go. So it gets weird almost immediately after the film starts. And there were a lot of complaints. So what I've been hearing on the internet is that people felt like Tiana Taylor's character wasn't a good representative of how a Black woman would act in this sort of situation. I can't speak on that. And the reason I can't speak on that is because I don't know what I don't know what you would be doing in this situation. This is something I would never be doing because you shouldn't be doing it. So I don't really have that opinion, or I'm having a hard time making that distinction. But what I will say is that some of it was a bit untoward, just in the sense of like, what are we doing here? Like, what's really going on here? This is weird. This is bizarre. It kind of reminded me of, I don't know, Opus or Saltburn, where it had all of this weird, creepy music, and it was, I don't know what it was trying to be, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I want to speak to Tiana Taylor real quick and just say, or speak about Tiana Taylor real quick and say that she wasn't in the entire film. And I thought that was really interesting. There's this big thing, or there's this big presence that she has in the very beginning. And then when I went back to watch the second part of the movie that I hadn't seen, she was nowhere to be found. She was gone for the rest of the movie. Now that frustrated me. That made me feel like, well, what are we doing here? Can she come back? And I thought for sure I was going to see her at the end. Spoiler alert, she's not in the end. She's not there in the end. It's very odd. It's very strange to me that they made that choice. That's the choice they made, nonetheless. I wish I could have seen more of her. I wish that she was more storied in this film. So she has a presence in the sense that we know that she was there. We don't just forget about her. She too is impactful. Her character is impactful in everything that happens after that, after she's not around anymore. But it just was weird. I was like, she really not coming back, huh? Okay. All right then. Most of the film is watching Benicio del Toro and not even, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Watching Leonardo DiCaprio basically on the run. That's most of the film. I wanted to like this. I wanted my co-host to be wrong. I'm being honest. Because I felt like from the beginning when we knew this movie was coming out, he was like, absolutely not. I hope he's watching. He was like, absolutely not. I will not watch this. It's too long. It doesn't look good, and I don't want to be bothered with this. I really wanted to prove him wrong. I really wanted to come up here and say, listen, guys, this is a great movie and you should support it. I don't like this movie. It was weird and a little creepy, and I don't like this movie. I think that it did the things that movies should do. It made me feel something. It made me uneasy at times and intrigued at times. So I think as far as function goes, it is functioning as an interesting film. I just don't think that I like the way everything played out. I don't like that one character in particular went missing for the rest of the movie. Watching Leonardo DiCaprio so manic and all over the place felt like classic Leo. He's played a bunch of different roles, but I think what he does really well is being that intense guy. He does that well. Doesn't mean that this character was the same as other characters he's done before. It just means that there's a certain energy that he brings to this type of character that it was there. It was there. It just went on too long. Again, it just went on way too long, and it was a lot. And then once you really like found out, or I figured out what was going on pretty early on, but I was just like, this is a lot. I'm gonna have to give it like a 5 or a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. I just really don't. I didn't like it. I do want to call out the actress who played Perfidia's daughter. She was great. Her name is Chase Infinity. She's great. I love her. I feel like she was in something else as well. And Regina Hall, Regina Hall is always a good time. Regina Hall always gets the job done. This was not a funny role for her, but I like serious Regina Hall too. Not Regina Hall. I always get King and Hall mixed up. I liked seeing her like this. I thought that was cool, but man, I just don't think I could really, really like this movie. I did try. Just didn't care for it. It was just like, okay, all right, let me get it finished because I said I was gonna do this, so let me do it. And I don't know, it never got to a point for me where I was saying, oh, I like this. This is okay. No, I never got there. Never got there. So, that's my little 2 cents about F1 and one battle after another. Let's hope the next one is even better than these. Like, can I get an 8.5 out of 10 or something? Hopefully so. But if you have seen any of these or any of the other movies, let me know. Put it in the comments. And if there's one that you think I really should watch because I really might like it, please let me know. I'm trying to work my way through them. A lot of them are not available on streaming, so I do have to go to the movies to find some of these movies, but I'm willing to do it. Just let me know which ones. And hopefully JD and I will be back tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.